You keep track with your vices, but nobody taught you actually how to replace them. So in this video, I'm going to give you guys the step-by-step process of how I was able to quit all of my vices, and I'm 3 years sober now, and how you can actually do the same for yourself to quit yours. Before I get into the step-by-step process, I want to actually talk to you guys a little bit about my experience with vices and how they almost ruined my life. So I've had almost every vice in the book. I've struggled with weed, I've done a whole bunch of drugs, video games, and I was addicted to lust too. And I was stacking all of these vices at a very young age. Like, I started smoking weed when I was 15. I did that for 5 years straight all day up until I was 20. And the same goes for all these other vices. Now, the first way how vices almost ruined my life is that it started to ruin relationships with my loved one. What I mean by this is that my loved ones, specifically my family and my girlfriend, they knew I had vices, they knew I was indulging, and they saw firsthand how it started to change me. I used to think that nobody understands me and that, the vices help me get away from the bullshit from the world. But the truth is, the vices just made me lose self-respect and become more bitter. And that started to rub off in every interaction I had with my family, with my loved ones. And one time, I almost got kicked out the house because I was having so many arguments with my parents at a young age. It kept me at a low frequency / state of comfort. Vices stopped me from ever feeling like I deserve more. I always felt like I had potential. But once I started to go really deep with the vices, I stopped actually taking action on that potential. And so I was stuck at the same pay for way too long. I didn't go after opportunities that I had. I didn't go for new opportunities. And I was just stuck in this state of comfort because when you do vices, they make you feel like everything is okay. But in reality, it's all just a mask. The reason why we have vices is to escape our current reality. So, if you have vices right now, there's some problems in your life that you are trying to avoid. So you need to figure out what are they and handle them. Because once you indulge in the vices, they're going to make you feel like everything is good. You got that dopamine rush, you got that serotonin pumping. So your brain thinks that you have no problems. And if you have no problems, there's no point of you actually getting better and improving yourself. But the next way is that it killed my sharpness / turned me into a target. Now, if you guys don't know, I'm in New York, right? And in New York, this is not all sunshine and rainbows like the movies show it to be. New York, specifically Brooklyn, is real, okay? You get caught up in some shit out here. It's very easy to just be outside and all of a sudden some things turn up and you have to be aware. In a city like New York, where there's constant crime, drugs, all of this, and a high density of people, you always have to be aware of what's going on because you never know when some shit will pop off. Since I was numbing myself with the weed, with the vices, with the drugs, it started to kill my awareness. And it's the same way as when you look at your phone and you be walking down the street and looking at your phone like this, you're not aware of what's going on. And the vices do the same thing. They kill your awareness and they turned me into a target. And so I started to get caught up in so much shit because I was constantly in the mix, hanging out with the wrong people, hanging out with the wrong crowds, and I was just drifting through my days. Now, the last way that vices almost ruined my life is it started to kill my confidence. I was always a very confident kid, but since the vices were keeping me in the state of comfort, I started to lose respect for myself. And with a loss of self-respect comes a loss of confidence. So I saw that I wasn't really progressing in life and I was so dependent on these vices that my confidence started to get deteriorated slowly but surely. every single time. This is my life before the vices. Right here, this was the day I graduated high school, smoking a J. This was like quarantine time. We was really big into like wax pens and stizzies. So I was buying these like every single week, spending my money on it. We were doing big packs. Right here, I was literally coming down from an acid trip. You could see the pain in my eyes. Like, you could see the pain and the trauma in my eyes in that photo as I was coming down from the trip, because it really did traumatize me, man. It really did. We got more wax right here. Over here, we got video games. I would smoke the weed, play the video games for hours, and not really doing much. Here we got like a video of me at the club, just indulging in vices, lust. So all of this controlled me, and it controlled me for many, many years. So this is how you actually take control of your vices and replace them. The first step to killing your vices is understanding your why. Why do you actually want to quit? Every single time you participate in a vice, you feel some sort of guilt. You feel some sort of shame. You feel like you're not really supposed to be doing this in the first place. And if you don't feel like that, then you wouldn't be watching this video. The reason why you're watching this video is because you know you have to change. You know something is wrong. So what I want you to do is take a moment to visualize where your life will be if you don't quit. In my case, I would have been homeless. I would have been broke. I would have had no relationships with women or my family. And I would just be a straight up bum. And I probably would have been doing harder drugs. So think of like the worst case scenario. What would your life look like if you don't quit? If you keep indulging in vice for 10, 20, 30 years, are you going to be dead? Are you going to be in prison? What's going to happen to you, right? And really think about that pain. And then after that, visualize the man that you're going to become once you do quit. What does your life look like when you quit, right? And you can do this by making this list of great. The list of great is just a list of all the traits and a description of the best version of you. Write down how this person carries himself, how does he look, how does he dress, how does he interact with other people, what are his standards, what are his non-negotiables, does he participate in the vices that you have right now? Does the best version of you participate in the vices that you have right now? And chances are, no, he does not. You gotta realize that your addictive personality is a hidden blessing. I truly think that if you have an addictive personality, you have more drive than the regular man. Because it's easy for you to get addicted to things, but that can go both ways. You could get addicted to bad things, and you could get addicted to good things, which we're gonna get into later. Now, you're just channeling your energy into the wrong things. So we need to make that shift of channeling the energy towards the wrong things, towards the vices, and channeling it towards the things that are actually gonna help you get closer to your goals. If your goals are too small, then you're never gonna quit your vices. If all you wanna do is work a minimum wage job, have a mediocre physique, have a mediocre girlfriend, then you have no incentive to actually quit your vices, because you could have a minimum wage job, a mediocre physique, and a mediocre girlfriend while indulging in vices. You don't need to quit your vices to get any of those things. So that's why I want you to create goals that are so big that achieving them is going to require you to drop the vices. Every sacrifice that you make is your spiritual currency. Every time you sacrifice the vices, every time you sacrifice going out, every time you sacrifice for your goals, that's spiritual currency that you can use to actually achieve what you want to achieve. Sacrifices are just building you up for the things that you want. Now, just remember, losers put in the amount of effort that they think is needed to achieve their goals. Winners put in the effort that actually makes failure impossible. What can you do right now that if you did all these things, there is no way that you're not gonna quit those vices? If you smoke weed, There is no, oh, I'm going to slow down and I'm only going to do it once a week. No. That's you trying to put in a minimum amount of effort. You need to cut it off completely. Whatever advice you have, you need to cut it off completely. Make failure impossible. Make as many sacrifices as you have to if it means that you're going to quit your vice and actually improve your life. And that leads me to my next point, which is burn the bridges. You must save yourself first. Any person, thing, environment that keeps you stuck in the same vices must go. And I know you don't want to hear this, but all of your friends who do the vices with you, all of your friends who think the vices are okay, all of your friends that want to hit the club with you, that want to go to strip clubs, that want to smoke, that want to drink, that want to party, do all this shit, you have to distance yourself from them temporarily. Now, I did the same thing. When I was quitting weed, all the people I hung out with, every time we would link up, they would want to smoke. So the only way I was actually gonna reduce the chance of me smoking is if I distance myself. So what do? I told them, hey, I'm trying to quit smoking right now, so I can't hang out right now, right? It's nothing personal. Tell your friends that you are trying to quit this vice, and it's nothing personal. Now, some of your friends are gonna understand, okay? And they're gonna commend you for it. Some of your friends are gonna think that you think you're better than them, and they're gonna feel bitter towards you and probably talk shit about you because you're trying to improve yourself. Those are the people that you have to cut off permanently. When you're actually trying to sacrifice and quit your vices, your friends are gonna show their true colors. The ones who actually want to see you win will be okay with that. The ones who don't want to see you win, the ones that want to keep you down here with them, they're gonna get mad at you, right? And you have to cut them off completely. You're better off without them. Set up as much friction as possible between you and the vice, which means that if you have to, cut off your plug, cut off your plug. Throw away your stash. Use website blockers. Depending on whatever the vice is, you may have to put different obstacles in your path. The more hoops that you have to jump through in order to do the vice, the more friction there's going to be and the less likely chance that you actually indulge, right? So if your vice is pornography and you notice that you do it late at night, then don't take your phone into your room late at night. 30 minutes to 1 hour before bed. Keep your phone in another room. Use website blockers, right? Start unfollowing all these Instagram models that come up on your feed. Every time you see a thirst trap on Instagram, put not interested. Distance yourself from those friends. Avoid locations that you used to smoke at, just for the time being, just until you gain that initial self-control. Now, everyone's time is a little different. For me, it took me like a few months until I was able to start hanging out with my friends again and start putting myself in those environments that I used to smoke at and be able to say, no, I'm not doing that. A lot of people will try to tell you that you need a dopamine detox. I don't believe in dopamine detox. I believe in dopamine realignment. Now, all this means is that you're going to take your previous bad habits and you're going to replace it with the good ones. If you have urges, take a cold shower, take a walk, work out, do some breath work, some journaling, some cold approaches, right? There's a whole bunch of positive habits that I'm about to get into that you can use to replace your vice. And through constant repetition, your brain is going to start to rewire and they're going to associate the urge to indulge in the vice with the positive habit. So every time you start to feel that urge to smoke, to jerk off, do whatever, play video games, you're going to do something else instead. You're going to take a cold shower. You're going to go on a walk. You're going to work out, do some breath work. And one thing that every man should be doing is spending at least 30 minutes to 1 hour walking in nature every single day. There's something about walking in nature and brings you back to the type of man that you are supposed to be. We are not supposed to be living in big cities, constantly surrounded by noise, by lights, cars, people, right? We need some silent time. We need some alone time, specifically in nature, right? So I live in New York, but I have a park that's nice, that's by me, right? So what I do is I go to the park, no music, no headphones. I go to the park, I just listen to my thoughts for 30 minutes to 1 hour every single day, and it resets my dopamine and makes me more sensitive to dopamine, right? So I start to feel better just from doing simple tasks. So you should be going on these walks. If you don't have some sort of nature, some sort of park by you, then I would say find the nearest, quietest neighborhood in your town and walk there, right? Walk there, walk in the neighborhood that doesn't have many cars passing through, doesn't have many people, and just walk there. Don't listen to music. Just listen to your thoughts and acknowledge them. Keep it pushing. Now, a bonus tip is to supplement with L-tyrosine, 750 milligrams. What L-tyrosine is it's a precursor to dopamine, which means that when you take it, your body makes more dopamine. When you supplement with L-tyrosine, it basically resets your dopamine baseline, because you were doing all these vices. What you did is you took your dopamine baseline and you brought it all the way up here, right? So now you need so much stimulation just to get the same effects. And every single time you do more and more vices, you raise that threshold up. Supplementing with L-tyrosine, walking in nature, doing all these good habits is going to bring your dopamine sensitivity down, which means that you start to feel pleasure just from doing hard tasks, just from doing the things that you really should be doing. And that's the whole goal of dopamine realignment. So here are some positive habits to actually start implementing. Just remember, don't try to implement all of this at once. The same way that you shouldn't be trying to cut off every single vice you have at once. If you have multiple vices, I would recommend choose one, go like 1 month without it, and then slowly start to introduce more vices that you cut off. But if you try to cut everything off at once, it's going to be very hard for you to actually stick with it, right? So unless you're someone who's used to that type of pressure, I would not recommend trying to cut multiple vices at once. Start with one. The same way is all of these positive habits, you don't need to start implementing them all in one day, right? If you decide that you're going to quit vices today, that doesn't mean you're going to start doing red light therapy for 3 hours, meditating for 2 hours, doing cold showers, cold plunges, and running a marathon every day. No, take it step by step, right? Working out is a non-negotiable. Every single one of you guys should be working out. You got to put that, you're going to have a lot of excess energy once you quit your vices, and you have to put your energy towards something productive. Work out. Start rebuilding yourself, rebuilding your physique, rebuilding your energy. Working out also increases your dopamine, serotonin, right? Your motivation, your drive for life, makes you more attractive. So you can literally get addicted to working out, and it's only going to be a net positive. Daily journaling is a great one. When you journal, something magical happens. Like I used to think that journaling was for women, but I'm telling you, especially when you're trying to quit your vices, let's say every time you get an urge, you just write down in your journal, this is what I'm feeling. I'm feeling like I really want to smoke right now. I've had a stressful day. And just write out everything that's on your mind. This is not for anybody but you, right? Let it all out on paper. And you'll see that once you let it all out on paper, it's like your mind can be clear. And the urges go away. I'm telling you guys, start journaling. The next one is cold showers. Cold showers raise dopamine by 300%. They're usually uncomfortable for most people. So once you force yourself to do uncomfortable things, your mind starts to become accustomed to that. And so quitting vices becomes easier. Next one is grounding. All grounding really is like going outside, you going in nature, barefoot, having your feet in the grass, right? You could sprint in the grass. You could just walk barefoot in the grass in the park. This is going to realign you and your energy with the world. And it's going to bring you back to like this grounded state where you don't need constant stimulation to feel satisfaction. Daily walks are great. Every time you get an urge, you go on a little walk, right? Clear your mind. And then this one is actually very underrated, this next one, which is spending more time in public. Specifically, if your vice is pornography / fapping, right? No fap, you're not going to indulge in that vice if you're in public, right? At least I hope not. So the more often you can actually put yourself in public, the less chance that you have to actually indulge in the vice. Because where does that urge really come from? It's when you're alone, you're lonely, you're bored, right? You have nothing to really do. Nobody's watching. That's why you indulge. That's why that's why you indulge in that vice. But if you can spend the majority of your time in public, it's going to put a lot of friction in between you and the lust, you and the vice. Another one that's great for this is cold approaching. You have all this, you're a man. If you're working out, you're optimizing for your lifestyle, you're going to have a lot of sexual energy, a lot of masculine energy. And that's why you're addicted to pornography. That's why you fap, because you have to put that energy somewhere. It can't just be all stored inside you, right? So as a man, you want to find a partner, right? You want to find the woman of your dreams. So instead of looking at pixels all day, go out. The next time you have an urge, use that energy to actually approach women in the real world. And who knows, maybe you're even going to find a girlfriend. You're going to find a girl that likes you. And the last one is going to be breath work. Breath work is very great. Once again, it brings you back to like this grounded state and helps you control your thoughts, right? Sometimes we're just so overstimulated. There's so much going on in our mind. When you just focus on something as simple as the way you breathe, it's really going to help you control your thoughts, control your emotions, which is going to help you quit your vices too. Now, one of the most important aspects of quitting your vice is going to be to gain momentum. Once you get that ball rolling, it's going to roll, right? It may take a lot of energy to get the ball rolling in the first place, but once the object is in motion, it stays in motion, right? So gain momentum. First thing to do to gain momentum is to, once again, cut off the people / environment that tempts you. Hit the gym for at least 4 times a week. You're hitting the gym, you're going to have all this energy. You're going to start feeling more confident about yourself, right? You're going to be putting all this energy that you have from quitting your vice into something productive, right? You're going to be working on yourself, and that's going to help you get momentum. Then wake up at the same time every day. Now, I don't care if it's a holiday. I don't care if it's your birthday. I don't care if it's a weekend. You should be waking up at the same time every day, preferably before 8 a.m., right? You don't have to wake up at 3 a.m. That's not what I'm saying. But you should wake up at the same time every single day. This is going to build that consistency, that structure, and that discipline in you, because that's what you need right now. And that's what I did, right? I picked the time. I think the first time I picked was around like 7 a.m., 7:30, because I used to wake up at like 12, right? Or whenever I would have college, I used to wake up like an hour before class, like at the last minute smoke and then do what I have to do. That gives you too much leeway. No, wake up at the same time every day, preferably before 8 a.m. Because when you do the vices, you lose respect for yourself, because every time you tell yourself you're going to quit and you don't, you lose respect. You lose trust within yourself. So waking up at the same time every single day is going to rebuild that trust that you lost within yourself, right? And this goes to the next point, which is have a morning routine. As soon as you wake up, you should have 4 tasks that you can just accomplish to get you in a flow state. It doesn't have to be super complicated. Now, I already broke down my exact productivity system in another YouTube video. I'm going to put the link in the description. So I'm not going to get into too much detail on this video, but you should have a morning routine, something simple that gets you into a state of taking action, right? And you also want to have some structure for your day and your life in the days, weeks, months ahead, which means that you should have goals written out, things that you're actually working to achieve. You should know exactly what you're doing every single day and how it's going to bring you closer to your goals. The 5 for 5 method is what helped me raise structure for my day, and I break that down in another YouTube video. Link will be in the description for that one. And then one of the most important things for actually gaining momentum is to get an accountability partner or a coach. Now, all you have to do is find a friend that you trust, that you feel like cares about you, and they need to really care about you. And let them know, like, hey, I'm really struggling with this right now, and I would love if you could just hold me accountable to make sure I don't indulge in this vice, at least for like the first few months, right? While you gain that momentum. And the reason why this works so well is because as human beings, we tend to have a harder time letting other people down rather than letting ourselves down, which is crazy, but it's true. When you know that someone else is counting on you, someone else expects something of you, it's like you don't want to let them down. But when you know the only person who really cares about it is you, then it's a lot harder to actually stay true to what you want to do. So I would suggest getting a friend. The only problem with having a friend as an accountability partner is that the truth is nobody really cares about your situation as much as their own, right? It doesn't matter how much your friend loves you, how much of a real friend he is. They have their own problems, right? And so they may keep up with you for a week, 2 weeks, maybe even a month or two, but eventually they're just going to stop checking up on you, and like it's not going to be the same. And that's going to kill your momentum. And in that case, I strongly recommend to get a coach. The reason why a coach is so great is because your coach is not your friend, right? Your coach is someone that you actually pay. They're obligated to actually check up on you. That's their job. So they're going to check up on you regardless. That's what they got paid for. Your friend is not getting paid, right? Your friend is just expected to perform because they're your friend. So I would recommend to get a coach. If you can't get a coach, then just find an accountability partner that you trust. And the last step to gaining momentum is to reward yourself for the small wins. A lot of times we get so caught up with like the big goal that we don't remember to actually reward ourselves when we make progress. So if you went a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month of not smoking, of not indulging in pornography, of not playing video games, whatever your vice is, every time you make some progress, give yourself a little reward. Now, I'm not saying go on a bender, right? And just completely break your streak. Don't do that. Don't relapse, right? But what you want to do is you want to show yourself that, hey, I'm actually making progress and I'm reaping fruits from my labor. You could take yourself out on a nice dinner. You could buy something that you've been eyeing for a while. You could book an experience that you've been wanting to do. Do this every so often and watch. It's the same way when your dog does something good, so you give him a little treat, and then he keeps doing the good thing because he wants a treat. That's the same way our mind works. We're kind of like dogs in that way. We have this dopamine reward system. We need to feel like all of our hard work is not just for nothing. You should have faith in delayed gratification. That is true. But if you just give yourself a small reward, that's fine too, right? It's good to keep the momentum going, and that's what's going to help you quit your vice. Always remember about this thing called the compound effect. Every small win you make, even if it's just a week of not doing the vice, just 2 weeks, you hung out with your friends one time, they offered you the drugs that you used to do, and you said no, that's a small win, right? Because the old you would have never been able to do that. So small wins stack up and they compound. Number one is your testosterone is going to increase, especially if it's something like lust, right? And go because you're going after what you really want, and you're building that self-belief. So your testosterone is going to increase, your confidence is going to grow, and your energy that you used to waste on this energy vampire, your lust, the drugs, the video games, partying, all that energy that you used to waste on your vices is going to flow into creation, creating a better physique, creating better finances, creating a better future for you and your family. And overall, life is going to feel better, right? You're going to start to get more enjoyment out of life. Your dopamine levels are going to be back to normal, and you're going to start to appreciate the little things in life. Now, if you follow this whole step-by-step process, you will be able to quit your vices, but only if you take action. So here's what happens if you don't take action. Here's what happens if you don't follow what's in this video. You're going to look back in 1 year and you're going to hate yourself. I know it because I've been there, right? Your goals will haunt you. Your relationships will suffer, and your self-respect will be close to none, because you told yourself already that you want to quit your vices, and yet you weren't able to follow through. You weren't able to put into action when you have the whole blueprint right here. So all of your potential that you wasted is going to be in the back of your mind. Your relationships with the people who really care about you and want you to quit is going to suffer. And most importantly is your self-respect is going to be close to none. And if you have no self-respect, you can't even help yourself. You'll never be able to help others. You're never going to be able to actually go for anything in life, because deep down, you're going to feel like you don't deserve it. Understand that no one is actually coming to save you, so you need to save yourself. So this is the exact step-by-step process that I followed, that you should follow as well if you're looking to quit your vices and replace it with good habits that are actually going to bring you towards your goals. Make sure you implement these principles, you implement these strategies. Hit me up on Instagram. Keep me updated on your journey, how you're quitting the vices, right? The link will be in the description. And if you have any questions about this or just becoming the best version of yourself, shoot me a DM on Instagram, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay dominating.